Welcome to this week's episode of Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned. And welcome to our new studio. If you are on YouTube, you can physically see that we have created a new podcast studio. So excited to welcome our new guests here and to welcome you here. And as well, if you can't see us and you're listening to us on Spotify and Apple, just envision the energy of our new studio, and we welcome you here, whether you can see us or you can hear us. So this week, we're diving into a bit of a conversation that I'm going to call an experiment. It's been an experiment for me that I've been playing with actually for the entire year so far of 2024. And it's something that I started really paying attention to over the course of the last couple of years. And that is about the different cycles energetically. Now, as women, we have obviously our metabolic cycles, but more what I want to lean into for all of us as people, as leaders, is this idea that we can enhance our productivity when we align with our natural rhythms. So I became fascinated with this idea as I noticed my own energetic rhythms when I would have peak times of productivity. And what was it about maybe what I was experiencing or what was happening in the month or even just day, night, all of those things. And I really started to notice that there was some themes of when I had high energy and when I had maybe lower energy. And then I started playing with this possibility of really starting to understand that more and see how it could affect me aligning the energy that was available with the top priorities or tasks that I really wanted to be able to focus on. So one of the things, the clover leaf that I've shared with you, this assessment dashboard that I use, they actually have an assessment tool that measures based on your answers whether you have the most energy in the morning, in the afternoon, or at night. So that was one layer that I just started playing with. Well, I can tell you, I am not a morning person. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I go to the gym, but I joke that really my brain is not coming into function until later in the morning as we enter the afternoon. And then my peak productivity and when my creativity is heightened is usually actually sometime after 3 o'clock. And really into the evening, I can get really creative thoughts. So, you read about or hear about this whole 5 a.m. club. Love that is a possibility for those that have heightened energy at that time. But what if you've been trying to grind into that 5 a.m. club when the most energy available to you is actually much later in the day? That doesn't mean that you might not get up like I do and do some tasks. I'm very aware that if I actually worked out probably at night or even in the early afternoon, my workouts are, because on the weekends I do that, they are definitely better. They're better. And I know the way that the rhythm of my week works. I really love getting that workout done. I love getting my movement done in the morning just because then I feel like it sets my day up in the best way. But that doesn't mean that that's true for you. And I think these paintbrushes that we've tried to put across everything is dangerous. And we don't want to judge self or others against one person's perspective or a group of people's perspectives. Because for my husband, that works. For other leaders that I know, that actually works. What works for you? And that's one of the first things is really just understanding the rhythm of your energy, the rhythm of the day, and how you can align how you design your day, how you choose to design your day so that you can be the best version of you, so that you can be the best leader, the best spouse, all of it, that you can just show up as your best self. Now, as we're kind of leaning into that, one of the most important things as we explore different concepts, ideas, perspectives, is this idea of non-judgmental observer. And I've learned this technique through various wellness practitioners that I've worked with through the years. And I continue to marvel at the difference it absolutely makes in how you show up, in how your energy is created and ripples, and in the different emotions that it allows to be available to you and for you. So, what non judgmental observer is to come to any new perspective or thought or idea or insight or knowledge with a decision that you will be an observer without judgment. That sounds really simple. I get it, except we are not hardwired to show up that way. We are designed to show up with our biases and our ideas and our perspectives and a lens that those are the right answer. And so it takes this real depth of self-awareness to decide to show up with non-judgmental observer where you say, I'm going to be open to all different ideas, principles, thoughts. So then I can actually have a lens of openness, of curiosity, of potentially learning something from a new lens that allows you to see it differently, incorporate it differently, use it differently. So as I go into this next conversation about cycles, I'm going to ask you to choose that lens of non-judgmental observer. Because I know for me, when this was first introduced to me, my little spidey senses were going off on, that seems like really out there. Is that possible? And I love how I've explored it deeper and really dove into understanding it. What has opened up as potential? I remember I was listening last year to, I love the New Heights podcast because I've become a huge football fan. And so Jason and Travis Kelsey have really helped me actually learn my education about football. And this was before Tay Tay and Travis started dating, but that's just accelerated. I think it's so much joy to watch two people that are making a decision to just lean into showing us all what love and life can look like, what high energy can look like. And there's another example of showing up with our non-judgmental observer and just seeing what we can learn from different experiences. But I really took away from that podcast. The one time I was listening to it and somehow the moon cycles came up and both of them were like, can you imagine if we tried to win a football game based on moon cycles? Oh my gosh. And they kind of went on and it made me laugh because I really have taken a huge adoration and connection to what really is possible with what's happening with the cycles of the moon. And recently, we just came back from a trip to the Bay of Fundy, which came back from a trip to the East Coast and visited the Bay of Fundy in that trip. And we saw the tides, which are the largest tides in the world that go in and out in a 12-hour period. And we were able to see this fascination of there's so much water and then all of a sudden there's not. It can go in and out up to 60, 70 feet. And so it was really cool to watch that. And I was asking one of the locals about it, and they shared that the cycles of the moon impact how large the in and out is. So full moons, it's at its largest, and other times it's not quite as dramatic. And that to me is just an example of the energy of what's happening all around us. Everything is energy. Everything is in motion. And the more that we can connect and align to those possibilities that are available to us, who knows what's possible. So I started really paying attention to this. January 1st of this year, I created a calendar that actually shows all of the new moons, full moons, waning and waxing moons. So there's a view to the calendar. And we'll post this for everybody in the show notes just so that you can have a look at it. And then I started paying attention. So what it says is that if it's a waning moon, then that's a time where we can focus, look at details, finish projects, put in time to complete the work. If it's a new moon, we actually want to rest, evaluate, reflect. If it's a waxing moon, we want to look at planning, brainstorming, new beginnings, initiating things. And a full moon, communicating, collaborating, attracting, being visible, and connecting. Those are just some of the ideas around the energy of what we can leverage these different times of the month, these different cycles. And so I started playing and watching my own energy through those 4 different seasons of the month and or different cycles or different energies of the month and seeing, did that really have any impact? I really just stepped into curiosity, and it was fascinating what presented itself. I started to notice that I had so much energy available to me at the times when it said that I should be communicating, collaborating, attracting. So that full moon, so much energy to start new things and think of new ideas and be creative. And I started to notice around that new moon time, I didn't have as much energy available to me. So over then the next few months, I started planning my calendar around different events and priorities that I had. When was the best time to initiate something new in the business? When was the best time to have coaching conversations? When was the best time for me to maybe take a couple of days off and just reflect on everything that had been happening? And as I did that, I started to notice that more energy was available for all of those different things. And I started talking to my customers about this, and I started asking them what they thought. And a few president, CEO level were like, this is really interesting. I'm really curious to learn more. And what I thought might be a closed door started being more of an open door, because I think we're in this time where people are tired, exhausted, burnt out, looking for ways to understand themselves more, to understand the energy available more, so that you can absolutely lean into just having the aligning the right activities with what you have available to you. So I just want you to pause there and step into curiosity and ask yourself, do you notice, and maybe not right now, you don't notice to specific times of the month, but do you just notice in general that you have times where you have a higher energy available and times where maybe the best thing that you could do for yourself is actually just to kind of take a step back, pause, reevaluate, and rest. Just rest. For some reason, we have this perspective almost in the corporate space for sure that is a 4-letter word. When you rest and rejuvenate, you fill your cup, you fill your energy up, and you are your best self when you take the time to do that. I worked through that phase in corporate where it was a badge of honor that you didn't take your vacation. It was a badge of honor that you worked 16, 20-hour days. And I believe there's seasons where that's really important. There's seasons where you take your energy and you prioritize that achievement, that growth, that, really lean into a project you're working on. And there's seasons where you need to slow down and you need to reflect more and you need to allow your mind to have a little bit of space so it has more capacity to make good decisions, to be more productive, to be more effective and efficient, all of those things. And getting to know yourself and really stepping into self-awareness with this idea, just imagine what could show up for you. So I just want you to take a few moments and reflect on that whole thought process and see if you can even identify moments where you do notice that you have heightened energy or you do notice that you don't. Is that during a day? Like, can you identify it in a 24-hour cycle? Or is it easier for you to maybe look at a 30-day cycle and see what you've really noticed? Something that as this all unfolded and I was learning a little bit more about it, I did some reading and research on the fact that women and men are actually designed quite differently. Okay, I know that's not rocket science. We know this already. But what I learned is men are more designed on a 24-hour cycle, and so if you're a man and you're listening to this, you might be able to lean into identifying that morning, mid-afternoon, night. When does your energy heighten or when is it lessened? And then really look at aligning your calendar to that specifically. Whereas women are more aligned, which makes sense naturally with what our bodies go through, that we are more aligned to a 30-day cycle. And so for women, we more want to look at how are our cycles affected? And interestingly enough, then more aligned to the lunar cycles, because in our in our ancestral times, actually, our personal cycles were aligned to the lunar cycles. And so now, whether that's something you're going through or not, you can actually look to the moon cycles to really support when you may see, notice, experience these different energy levels. So, this is an experiment, just as it was an experiment for me that I wanted to share with you that you could lean into and do a little bit of your own research on. And that's really the inspired action from this point is to notice the next 30 days. Notice when you have heightened energy. Notice when you have depleted energy. Notice when you're so excited to meet new people and do new things. And notice when you're more reflective and more kind of want to be on your own. Notice what is available to you and maybe track that in your calendar just day by day. And then you can take that next step of looking at the calendar that I've created and see if there's alignment or what alignment there is or what stands out to you, and then start to play with it. Start to design your months, which takes a little bit of time to kind of to get those in congruency. But take that time to, over the next few months, once you notice what you notice, to then look at creating that congruency for yourself. And then you want to go back into reflection on, okay, now that I did that, what else have I noticed? What else has presented itself as what is possible for me? So I hope you enjoyed some of these new ideas and insights. I'll definitely share that as I explore these with my husband. He's like, "I don't always fully understand where you're going, and yet I know that there's something in all of it. There's something available back to our non-judgmental observer that there's something for us to learn from every thing that is brought forward to us if we can just keep an open mind and look at things as an experiment, not as a yes, no, not as a right, wrong, not as a good, bad, just an experiment. And when you can step into that experiment, new insights will be presented to you that will absolutely help you, first of all, come closer to your truest, authentic self, and then also help you design being the absolute best leader and version of who you want to be externally. It starts internally. It starts with that exploration and experiment. And then it starts to work externally to the connections and relationships and collaborations that you have. So thank you for sharing time with us again. I really want you to play into your natural rhythms so that you can both have the achievement that you desire to really be able to step into your highest performance and also to experience more inner peace. Because here, all of our conversations are to find a place where ambition and well being can coexist in the most magical, profound way. And until next time, please focus on how you can create an aligned life, really step into feeling awakened, and also celebrate the ambitions that you have and being the ambitious, powerful, dynamic leader that you are here to be. So, thank you again for being here, and we'll see you next week.